Yeah, the town that blamed Bigfoot for a triple murder. This is his new podcast thing or whatever. He'll probably say what it is. I forgot. Hold on. I have to slow it down. Alright. There we go. Alright. Now, Bob's your uncle.
Welcome to the first episode of the Nonstop PsyOp podcast. Basically, an excuse to make a Saturday video that makes sense.
This looks like a fishing hat. I don't know. It's an otter, right? Or something like that.
A little lower effort and a little crazier stories that I'm not going to talk about in my main channel, guys. So if you want to see another episode of this...
Wait, who was it that made these types of, like, glasses popular? Because it feels like it was kind of an Elton John thing or whatever. Well, I guess Elton John, he wears glasses like this, right? Kind of. His would maybe be a little bit darker, but not. Whatever reason, I thought of him as kind of wearing this type.
Press the like button, hit the subscribe button. It'll be on the Oompaville YouTube channel every single Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. It probably won't. All right, guys. It probably won't post then. Knowing my team, Tara specifically, she's so slow. Tara, put that clip of me spitting water on you that one time. Remember that happened? Anyways, coming at you live with the first episode about a story in which...
How do you guys feel about Bigfoot? I don't know. Like I feel like with a lot of cryptids, well, I don't know. I guess there's a lot of places they could hide, and there might be a degree of covering up. But it's just one of those things where you would think there would be evidence of them because people are so sucky at keeping secrets. But maybe that's the reason why there's so many conspiracy theories. I guess that's could be the case as well.
3 murders were attributed to Bigfoot. Before we begin, thank you for...
You could very easily also see a scenario in which the government was doing some sort of thing where they were, I don't know.
Watching the Nonstop PsyOp podcast if you haven't.
Again, more and more these days, I just think the government really sucks at keeping secrets, more or less. So the secrets that will come out or do come out are probably a lot more mundane than you might think. I think most of the stuff out there is probably stuff you either already suspect or you already know to be true somehow.
Topic you want to see us cover, comment down.
To be fair, there are a lot of Bigfoot sightings. So it's either some sort of... What is the phrase for that? There's a word for that. Some sort of collective delusion. Forgot what it was.
Below. We're trying to source all the topics and ideas from the audience so we have a level of participation. If you guys want to see behind the scenes stuff, join the Gump Club Discord server. We're on there every now and then. We're talking...
I think of something I would like to look at.
Talking about game development. We're talking about candy. We're talking about this third nipple situation that I've got right around here. It's kind of weird. I'm growing a third nipple right now, guys. High five. Oh, shit. This feels weird.
Oh, goodness.
This does actually feel strange. I feel like I'm performing. It feels different. I'm not used to doing videos that are
It's just
fun.
I was watching I was listening to Weird Al Yankovic's songs recently. Those are good. Those were all the rage. Like, I don't know when it was. Would have been like 2010s or thereabouts. Still really good. There's like spoofs of popular songs. Another one rides the bus. Another one goes.
That's right, guys. Nothing funnier.
I love Rocky Roads. I don't know if that'd be my favorite or not. What's the nerd one?
Than 3 murders being attributed to Bigfoot. So yeah, it's a standard podcast. We should have everything available on audio pretty soon, if not already, and Spotify and all that malarkey. So Nonstop PsyOp, sign up or whatever. October of 1993, the Emerald Triangle, the biggest, most remote weed-growing region in the country.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a point to be made, actually, that I think there is like a lot of both the planet Earth and just land in general that is not well settled. So in theory, yeah, there could be stuff hiding somewhere, I guess. Especially in the ocean, I would imagine. There's enough stories about that. So like the notion of 20,000 leagues under the sea or something like that is a lot more believable to me than maybe something on land, I guess.
Specifically, a pot farm off.
And admittedly, also just weird crap happens. A lot of weird crap happens. So there's a lot of stories of. Yeah, it's enough for me not to want to dismiss it entirely as a notion, I suppose.
Spy Rock Road. A young David Holthouse, he'd later become an investigative journalist, and this is the story he'd spent years chasing, is working at the farm and tells a story of what happened that night. Holthouse is in the shared cabin that the workers use, and a young man comes in claiming that he had just seen something he could not make sense of. Let me guess. He saw Bigfoot. He had just seen at a fellow pot farm 3 buddies completely mutilated, mangled, torn limb from limb with blood scattered across the pot plant. These 3 men were Mexican migrant workers.
Bless you.
Who had come to work one of the neighboring pot farms. And this young man would go on to say he believed that the Sasquatch had done it, which is crazy, obviously, because we all know that there's not really any
Sasquatches don't murder people.
Real evidence of a Sasquatch, aside from Peter Kane, dog trainer. He's been showing off his corpse lately on Instagram Reels. I don't know if y'all have seen that. That shit's so funny.
It is not a mammal, and I do not believe that these are from the Earth. I believe that they're an interdimensional creature.
He's a comedian. He's an actual performance artist. Comedian guy. He's really funny, and he's got a real Bigfoot body.
So, I don't know.
Anyways,
I don't know if he's actually a comedian or if he's just saying that because he's funny.
I have derailed this, but you know that's the whole point of a podcast: is you derail stuff and just start yapping and talking. And normally, what I would cut out of a main channel video, I leave in here. I leave in here just on the floor. I just work across the middle of the room, just leaving stuff for you. What was that? My camera just went all black. That was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, it did it again. That can't be good. I look like an idiot right now. So do you. We made the screen black on purpose so you'd see your own reflection in either.
I did not see my own reflection.
The TV you're watching from in your living room.
Do you generally see your reflection in TV? Well, technically, I guess you see a reflection. Mine's, set up maybe in such a fashion that I don't normally.
Or your phone that you're watching this video from on the toilet or whatever. So, hello, my friend. You also look kind of like an idiot.
Okay,
but that's why we like each other.
I can kind of see something vague, but,
First, a little bit about.
Well, that's also something I wonder if they would have. All right. We're back, and I don't know what I was saying.
Hello, my friend. You also look kind of like.
Oh, I was wondering. I was saying that I think they may have added something to the TV screens that would have made it less reflective, probably. Because I feel like back in the day, they would have been far more reflective. Back in the day of like VCRs or whatever, there would have been a lot more like actual reflection on the screen, but they might have added some sort of coding to it, so it's less so.
An idiot, but that's why we like each other. First, a little bit about our big-footed friend here. Stories of Bigfoot, also known as the Sasquatch, have persisted in the PNW.
The Indomitable Snow... No, what was the one? The Abominable Snowman.
Pacific Northwest.
Is this? I'm assuming that's supposed to be in the same category, right?
For potentially hundreds of years, with Native Americans telling their stories of giant, hairy, crazy wild men. Even Teddy Roosevelt recalls an incident where he was told a tale where a fur trapper in the mountains on the Idaho-Montana border was violently murdered and ripped apart by a bipedal ape man.
Well, to be fair, apes already exist, so the notion there being some other species of ape, again, the stories aren't enough to necessarily make me believe, but they're, it's not convincing enough in and of itself, but it's not nothing either. It's enough to make me wonder a little bit.
In 1924, in Ape Canyon, Washington, several miners reported ape-like beings in the canyon, throwing rocks at them and attempting to break into their cabin. That sounds horrifying. Back where I'm from in Virginia, we had stories of what's called the skunk ape. You ever heard of the skunk ape? My grandfather, notorious bullshitter, told us about the skunk ape. My dad and uncle, though.
Or the beef coon.
have a story about the great white ape that they used to tell. Apparently, my grandparents went away to some gathering, some adult-only gathering where they would...
That's from iCarly, if you didn't know. I assume, anyways. I don't know if they got it from somewhere or if there was actually an idea of something like that.
Dance and fraternize with other adults and drink and all this, nonsensical 80s fun stuff that they used to do. My father and his older brother stayed home. My dad, Jesse, and his brother, Matthew. And they had access to firearms because this is in the early mid 80s in Northern Virginia, in which you had hunter safety taught in school. So there was guns everywhere.
We had taken hunter safety, but I don't think it was at school. Technically, ours was a Christian day school, so I don't know if they would have had anything like that. I feel like that would actually probably be a good thing to do, at least if you had a smaller school or something like that. I don't know if it'd be a good thing in public school and just in general, but kids should know how to handle guns responsibly, in my humble opinion. It's going to happen at some point or another. They're probably going to have a gun. It's probably better if they know how to not point it at people that they don't intend to shoot.
Everyone was very familiar with hunting and firearms, so they both had access to firearms. They claim that a great white ape, peered into the window.
So they're racist against white people.
On the front porch.
Wait a second. I thought the white apes were the abominable snowmen. I thought Sasquatches were the other ones. The more local variety of it. Yeti? That's Yeti is the whatchamit thing. That's the Oriental version, right? The version that they have over in like China or whatever. I think that's what they do over there.
Scared them enough to when their parents got home, my grandparents got home, they were under the kitchen island with shotguns aimed at the doors. That afraid. And that's a real story from my grandparents and from my dad. And what makes it so startling and weird is those front windows looking in from the front porch. You have eye level pretty much, and the windows start there. So everything else is kind of underground, recessed underground. It's built on a hillside, the house is. So those...
Yeah. As I was thinking, like, you wonder if sometimes the government does weird shit like this just to distract people from what's going on. I just remember there's like a Whitest Kids You Know thing where he's just talking about all sorts of crap. Like about the moon bears or something like that. We don't know at present which gang of moon bears are like hostile or whatever.
The front porch windows are really high up. So
FYI, I think it comes out that they were literally just invading Iran or something.
Something had to like kneel down to look.
It's a funny sketch.
In there.
Completely, well, I guess related to what I was talking about right there. Do you guys know that Mitchell and Webb actually came out with kind of a new sketch show type thing? I don't know if I like it or not. Like, it's kind of, well, no, I think I like it. I think it's a poor, pale imitation of what they used to do, but still not bad. We'll see if they hit their stride or whatever. Also, they were talking about like politics at one point, and again, I've said this before. There are very few actors I would care to hear the politics of. I don't think it's necessarily a thing that I have to agree with them. It's just a thing where I feel like, generally speaking, their insights are not the most informed or useful. Again, it's one of those things where making the point badly is worse than not making it at all. I think I've said that before. But yeah. Actors just shouldn't be allowed to speak about stuff that doesn't involve fact. No, I don't know. Again, very few I would care to hear talk about stuff like that. Anyways, enough drivel.
Into the kitchen to see them, and it scared them enough to where they hid around under their kitchen island with shotguns as they were, 9 and 12 or 13 years old, and waited for their parents to get home. I've never seen anything that scary in my whole life. I do have...
That's crazy. Again, it just feels like a lot of weird crap happens. I've experienced enough, and you hear enough just to, make it so you're not willing to necessarily count some of that stuff out.
The Bigfoot experience that I believe I've shared, and I'll share it again towards the end of this video. But These modern stories of Bigfoot in California really began back in the 1880s in January of 1887. Jack Dover told...
You know, actually, one thing it was occurring to me that would be a great. It feels like in stories, especially, the notion of like creating wonder is probably something that's far better accomplished through something like cryptids or whatever, rather than let's just create magic. Because it's one of those things that once you create a shortcut, you then have to explain why not everyone uses a shortcut. You could maybe virtue lock the magic or something like that, where it's like a sword and stone type of thing, where the reason why not everyone can use it is because you have to be such and such a good type of person or whatever. But another way to do that is just to create some sort of cryptid, because, you know, it's completely plausible to us that, oh yes, chameleons can change the color of their skin. Why can't I change the color of my skin? Well, there's no particular reason. We're just different, right? But if another person can change the color of their skin through magic, the question is, okay, so why can't other humans do that? How do you put a bookend on this power that's effectively a shortcut? And if it did exist, why wouldn't everyone use it? The other way would maybe be to make it as dangerous or unstable as possible, or corrupting in some regard, or something like that. But again, it's one of those things. Once you introduce a shortcut, you then have to explain, well, why don't we use the shortcut every time? Yeah, that's my theory anyways.
The Del Norte record about his close encounter the year before with what was then called the Wild Man, up between Marble Mountain and Happy Camp in the Klamath backcountry of Siskiyou County. In Humboldt County, one of the 3 counties that make up the Emerald Triangle, doesn't become the heart
I didn't realize the Emerald Triangle is a thing. I'll have to look that up at some point.
Of this legend until the 1950s. The article goes on to say that Jack Dover was one of the most trustworthy citizens of the area, and that while hunting, he saw something standing 150 yards away from him. And that thing was gigantic, about 7 feet high, with a bulldog head, short ears, and long...
So here's a question. Is there, generally speaking, like a commonality between the stories about Bigfoot? Or are they always tend to be like really big?
Long, beautiful hair. It
I'm just wondering about that, like the descriptions of it.
had a beard. It was free from hair on parts of its body, similarly to a man. Had a shrill kind of voice, "Ah!" calling very high compared to that of a woman or a soprano like myself. "Ah!" Or Frankie, I guess. She's been banned from recording with me because she's too excitable now in her old age. She just barks at everything. She's always barked at everything.
It's kind of counterintuitive. You expect them to be more chill as they grow old.
But, you know, I'm guilty of egging her on. I see that. I'm guilty of egging her on, but I figure it's fun to scream at stuff and yell and release energy, and I really enjoy doing it. And, you know, I figure my dogs do as well. So we do it. We get crazy. We get real crazy. Whenever my dogs have
I feel like pugs are probably like the Habsburgs of dogs.
an excitable moment, I do everything I can to let them express it. I love when the dog gets happy and crazy. I love dogs, dude. Especially Frankie Boozeball. Frankie Boozeball. Come here, Frankie. Come here, Frankie. This isn't Frankie. This is Petey.
Look at that. That must entail some sort of incest, right? Just look at that. Look at that face.
Petey Gummo.
It's so ugly. It's cute. I think this one has got to be pretty old too, though. Look. I think they start to get that gray hair around their muzzle when they get older. So I'm assuming this one is rather old as well.
This is little Petey. Live Petey reaction. Oh, shit. Frankie. Oh. Frankie looks really good. She's 8 right now. She's 8 years old.
Nice. I also thought, like, I like dogs, but I hate the notion of buying something that's going to die before me. Like, it feels kind of just sad that you see something come into the world, you see it grow up, you see it grow old, and then you see it die before. It's just it's not cool, man.
She is the healthiest pug in the world.
Parrots live forever. Tortoises, those can last a long time.
World, I would bet. She's incredible. She sleeps through the night. She loves her brothers and sisters, of which she has 4. And she's just the best dog in the entire world, and I love her so much. Her little stomach is like a little ball. She loves balls. Stand up. they can see your little rotten belly, Frankie. Good girl, look at that rotten belly.
I'm flexing. I'm flexing.
Aw. She's so good. She's been reading the Book of Mormon lately. Anyways, back to the
Nice.
high-pitched Sasquatch voice guy. He could not see its footprints as it walked on hard soil. He aimed his gun to shoot, but he could not find it in himself to shoot because of its close resemblance to that of a human. Because it probably was a guy. Since then, a number of people have seen it and all agree that their descriptions match that even of Mr. Dover, but some even report that it is taller, which that's...
Okay, so I'm getting a little bit lost here. This still has to do with the murders, right?
very scary. There's nothing more horrifying to me than tall people. I cannot stand a big bitch, all right?
Small powers. I know I had mentioned that last week. I forgot what... No, I looked it up, literally. That sketch about dwarfs. Or small people, I don't know. Yeah, it's still hilarious. I think if you looked up, like, racist dwarf sketch, I'm not for sure, like, it might just be, like, the midget KKK or something like that. I'm not for sure. Hilarious video. But we're going to skip this part.
It wasn't until 1958 that
he meanders, and while that's fine, it's fine to watch. I just don't know if I'd have much commentary on it.
Journalist Andrew Gonzoli of the Humboldt Times highlighted a letter from a reader about loggers in Northern California who discovered large footprints, some measuring up to 16 inches. While working in Six Rivers National Forest, logger Jerry Crew discovered these massive 16-inch footprints. He reported it to Andrew Gonzoli, who compared it to having our own abominable snowman. Gonzoli and fellow journalist Betty Allen would publish.
I wonder if there's a difference, like in the descriptions. So the only thing I would think of would have to do with like the color of the hair. That's the only really thing you would generally think of with regards to the difference there. I think Yetis at least are supposed to be white fur, right?
Follow-up articles about the footprints, reporting the name that loggers had given to the creature. Bigfoot. 2 words. How cool is that? That's where it came from, dude. You know who else is Bigfoot? Me. I have big-ass feet. 5'11", 12. I got a 12-inch foot, or size 12 foot. All right. And that's...
Again, I think he meanders a little bit. I don't know.
Isn't until 1967 with the Patterson-Gimlin film that people really start to have a strong conception of the Bigfoot. The Patterson-Gimlin film is probably one of the most famous pieces of Bigfoot media. Even if you don't know the name, you are very likely to have seen stills or a little bit of footage of the Patterson-Gimlin film. We're going to show it here in the video. It's pretty awesome. When I first saw the
I'm just looking at that, like, does the swinging of the arm seem at all unnatural?
Even if you don't know the name, you are very likely to have seen stills or a little bit of footage of the pattern.
Like there's almost too much. I guess I don't know. Seems a little bit strange.
Patterson-Gimlin film. We're going to show it here in the video. It's pretty awesome. When I first saw the Patterson-Gimlin film as a young boy, I said, "That big guy." It was captured along Bluff Creek in the Six Rivers National Forest near where Del Norte, Humboldt, and Siskiyou counties meet. It contains shaky, grainy footage showing an upright hominid, fur-covered creature striding through a forest clearing. Beautiful rack of tits on it as well if you look real close. It turns and it looks at the camera at one point, and some scholars have said this is clear footage of a creature. Famously, Jeff Meldrum, the Idaho State University anthropologist who since passed away, may God rest his soul, reported that this is clearly a creature walking through the forest and it looks annoyed at people staring. People have a real devotion to this. They love the Patterson-Gimlin film footage. People have tattoos of this creature in its position with the tits walking. I have a guitar strap that was made by the
Strange.
The same leather worker that made a guitar strap for Blake Shelton that has the Bigfoot tits on it, that my mom got me for my birthday, actually, when I was a little boy, because she thought I'd really like it. And she didn't ask him to put tits on it, but he did. And I'm grateful. He put the tits on it. Sick. Look at the tits on that thing. That is crazy, dude. I wish I had tits like that. Now,
goofy.
One man named Bob Hieronymus, which is a crazy last name, claimed to have been the man in the suit. The fun police, more like. Roger Patterson died in 1972, only about 5 years after the film, and it wasn't until 2004, 4 decades later, that Hieronymus went public with the claim. He said, "I am the man in the suit," he said. "Hieronymus, I am the fun police. I am a hoaxer. I'm the Bigfoot." Blah, blah, blah. Now, Bob Gimlin, the other man shooting the footage, said that Hieronymus is a liar and that in the suit, he's not tall enough and he doesn't fit the
Interesting.
build of a Bigfoot. To this day, the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, or BFRO, reports that California still has the second highest number of Sasquatch sightings in the country, and Willow Creek within the Emerald Triangle calls itself the Bigfoot capital of the world. Now, Willow Creek is the gateway town to Bluff Creek, where the Patterson-Gimlin footage was filmed, and honestly, I would go check it out, guys. It's pretty cool. They do Bigfoot festivals. They're obsessed with it. They've made it their entire
I still want to look up Emerald Triangle. Yeah.
identity, which...
All right. Does he ever get to where, like, the murders come into this? More of a cocaine guy? Why the hippies came here? Hell's Angels involved? What the... Cartel takeover? The alleged murders. All right. Let's jump here.
Being upset that this was going on. So we get to the alleged murders. We have to say alleged because one, the murders have never been confirmed by any real law enforcement agency, and two, because these men were migrants and likely came to America illegally, so there's no record of them officially existing in California.
Gotcha.
But in the Hulu documentary Sasquatch, which is the first to really dig into this, growers in the Emerald Triangle say that these men were real. They came, they worked on a farm, and they were killed. And Holthouse talked to insiders close to this particular...
It would put you in kind of a little bit of a delicate position, because, like, I imagine even if you hadn't helped them get into the country, like, even employing people like that, at least at the time, would have probably been illegal and gotten you into trouble. It's kind of the whole, like... don't want to go to the political side, but it feels like the whole notion of, like... It feels like you can only really take the position of let's have completely open borders, or let's just keep people out. Because, like, letting people across and allowing the smuggling to continue would, in theory, put people in a very dubious position with regards to their employers, where their employers can ask for all sorts of things, because guess what? These people are illegal, and, you know, they can just report them if they don't do what they want. It sets up a very unfortunate dynamic between the individuals involved.
Particular case who back that up. Sure, gonzo journalism aside, right? You know, anecdotes and all this stuff, but still. Holthouse has 3 main informants in particular around the death of these 3 men, and one of them is a longtime local named Ghost Dance. Real name, by the way. The other is a man who only goes by the name Razor. Real name, by the way. Razor.
That's weird.
Razor is an ex-con
Who would name someone Razor?
who knows what's been going on in the Hell's Angels
Oh, I take that back. There's certainly people who would do that type of thing.
corner of the pot growing industry. And then there's a third, unnamed redacted individual who would only speak to Holthouse under anonymity. Between them, these are the voices that quietly point away from Bigfoot and toward people actually running the farm. So, remember the scene from the start. The witness bursting into the bunk at Spy Rock, swearing he'd seen 3 men torn apart at a neighboring farm and that only Bigfoot could have done it. The detail that actually matters is that nobody stole any product, and the plants were fine except for a few that were broken. The guy telling it was strung out.
Uh-huh. I guess I don't know. Like, would you expect Bigfoot to steal product or damage stuff? You wouldn't consider it to be like a very precise killer, I guess.
Out on crystal meth, prone to erratic behavior. So you have 2 versions. There's the meth witness version, bodies torn apart by a monster, and the other is with the sober sources actually back. 3 men showed up, worked on a farm, and were never seen again. Pretty different claims, only one of them needs Bigfoot. Through Ghost Dance, the anonymous source would reach out to Holthouse and tell him that these men were not killed by Bigfoot, and that this was carried out by armed humans involved in a Hell's Angels-led pot-growing operation.
I mean, that's where the Hells Angels came into it.
So, Holthouse agrees to meet with this anonymous source. He refuses to be on camera because he's since gone straight. I assume that means he's no longer gay. He's out of the game. no longer affiliated with any club. He decides to tell Holthouse the entire truth of what happens, and after they meet at a restaurant, they're having some wine. He doesn't open up to Holthouse about anything until everyone clears out of the restaurant. At this point, he finally tells Holthouse that he's heard Holthouse has been asking around about 3 Mexican guys, someone, a name the documentary bleeps out, Greased, back in '93. Greased as in killed. The informant then tells Holthouse that the man he just named, the alleged killer, worked on a pot farm run by the Hells Angels. And when Holthouse asks whether he himself is in danger from this guy, the informant says yes. The alleged killer is someone who has...
So, do the Hells Angels exist anywhere but California? Because I'd heard that name, and I think I'd heard it in The Mentalist or something. So I assume it's kind of a bike gang from California, unless they're like international or whatever the crap. Maybe there's different chapters in different places, I suppose.
Sicked the Hells Angels on people before and would do it again, and that Holthouse needs to be careful with this investigation. Now, in the documentary itself, Holthouse and the filmmakers deliberately never named the alleged killer. They bleeped it out for their own safety and I guess ours. It's a Voldemort sort of situation. But there is a name, and the name that I'm about to give comes from one place only, a Reddit user. In May of 2024, a user said that he was inspired by the documentary.
Again, not nothing, but maybe not compelling in and of itself. I'm just thinking Reddit is not it's not Kiwi Farms exactly, but it's also not exactly the soul of maybe integrity.
And went to investigate himself, claiming the alleged killer died back in 2022. Some people ask how he found his name, and he says the name is never given, but they give up enough info on it to leave only one possibility. He cross-referenced some info in the documentary along with some online articles and was able to figure out who the killer was. According to that Reddit user, his name was Michael Griffin. The post says he died in 2022 at the age of 54, which is pretty young, so if that's true, no one's in danger from him anymore, and he was a known Hells Angels affiliate. Now, this is all alleged, but it was mainly through Ghost Dance that this user pieced this guy together. Griffin knew Ghost Dance, and there was talk of his affiliation with the Hells Angels. There was a weed bust where they took his guns away and he ended up getting them back. He was never arrested or charged with murder because people wanted it to be Bigfoot. Holthouse had briefly spoken to the alleged killer on the phone in the movie, and there were 3 busts off Spy Rock Road tied to him as well. So how does this tie to Bigfoot ultimately? Why was Bigfoot the fall guy for this murder? Part of it was that Bigfoot was just already everywhere out there. Growers
Yeah. So, Hells Angels guy kills a whole bunch of guys and uses Bigfoot as a patsy. That's what I'm hearing. Or, alternatively, Bigfoot 100% did it. You never know. You never know. Alright, you guys can go watch the parts I skipped, I guess. A town that blamed Bigfoot for a triple murder. And it's non-stop psyop. Non-stop. Yeah, psyop. Okay, so psyop starts with a P. Sorry, I was glitching out there. Non-stop psyop, episode 1 by Oompaville. All right.